practice period applications are now open, so please, hope everyone finds a way and chooses to join in. It's an important thing in the life of the Sangha. Support our Shuso Gretchen. And read everything about it, and then find how you can do it in a way that makes your life, this is not to make your life busier or crazier, this is to provide a ground and a container for us all to encourage each other and to wake up together. So as much as you can, please don't wait till the end to apply. It will make everything so much easier. Send your applications on in. I also just want to acknowledge that which I think we know is that the presidential debates are happening. Will begin happening while we're sitting. I went through in my own mind, and I think others did too. Where should I be? Lucky for me, it's Sangha night. And here I am. And precept night. And I'm so grateful. I was thinking while I was sitting, bearing witness. I was looking it up. There's a story I heard over 25 years ago by Lawrence Vanderpost, who was in a Japanese prison camp and was, as I remember it, the commanding officer of the people who were imprisoned. And there was going to be some kind of disciplinary action, which was an execution of one of the people there in the prison. And a natural aversion to not wanting to look. And he said, as I remember, or as the way it went in, was we need to honor this person's life. Don't turn away. Bear witness. And so what was unimaginable, they supported each other to support this person who was them and not them. So somehow that went in a way, if I'm feeling aversion, I mean, investigate it. This isn't a hard and fast rule. Is don't turn away. There's something there. How do we stabilize and just, for everybody's sake. And so when the politics have gotten awful, that's actually been my, and will probably continue to be my way, and the suffering of the world. It's why I love this practice. Is it enables me to have a deep enough ground to do that. And I say that with a lot of humility, because one never knows. But I'm also just so glad that there's so many different ways to bear witness, and I really feel like we're bearing witness tonight here, being here, and that this is, and for some people to choose to participate directly with the debate, and for some of us to be here investigating and holding together this space and studying the precepts together. Just feels so, Ellen, can you hear? Do we need to, no? Oh,
No.
oh, you know what, my computer's turned down, I wonder why, is that better? Did that help?
I don't think it would.
No?
Let's see.
I just started pushing buttons, surely something will help.
Is that
What
light
about
on?
the microphone?
Oh, is the mic?
Mic is on,
Okay.
and it's here. Let's check this. Yeah. Oh, let's try this.
working on it.
Okay,
Is that better?
No?
Ellen
Oh,
says
that was
no.
my
For
best
musicians
guess.
off?
Is everybody else hearing okay? Maybe it's on Ellen's end.
We got a yes
None.
and a no and a
Yeah.
sort
We
of.
got,
We
it's
got two
okay,
yeses
more or
and
less
two nos.
okay?
Do I hear two?
Okay, well then we'll go on. Ellen, try turning up your speaker. And I'll try to talk louder. Anyway, here we are. And so I want to begin, as we're turning towards, as primary source, a fire runs through all things. Zen koans for facing the climate crisis, teachings on earth, mind, and not knowing. But I also feel like it's completely appropriate for this evening, as a fire runs through all things. Zen koans for facing the crisis of being alive in this time. And I'll bring that forward more. But I want to start with, or ground in, we respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Coast Miwok and Southern Pomo peoples of the Federated Indians of Greaton Rancheria. We offer our gratitude to them and their descendants for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor these teachings. So I'm going to start with it's chapter 3, A Fire Runs Through All Things. And there's a potent story in Rumi's epic poem, which I don't know, maybe some of you do, it makes me want to know it. Masnavi, probably saying it wrong, in which a farmer goes out at night without a lantern to check on the ox in the barn. The dear, reliable old ox he knows so well stands patient and unquestioning in the dark. He pats its huge shoulder and leans confidently against its warmth, completely unaware that a lion has eaten his ox and taken its place and is now standing silently where the ox was tethered.
Whoa.
The farmer would die on the spot if he knew he was so blithely patting down this inconceivable reality. Awakening is a kind of death, the fortunate death of all dividedness. Koan, case 86 of the Blue Cliff Records. Yunman is offering his own instruction for recognizing the fullness of that lion standing silent in that dark barn. Everyone has their own light. If you want to see it, you can't. The darkness is dark, dark. Dark, dark. Now, what is your light? Now, what is your light? There laid out is the entire process of walking with intent into the empty dark, into not knowing. It's a process that takes courage to calmly doubt all that we think we know and lay aside all that forces a gap until no barrier remains to the direct touch of reality. Yunman just said you already have what it is you seek in the darkening darkness. So how will you find what you seek? He offers nowhere to move, either forward or backward. His resonant description of the necessity to give away all your possessions and stand empty of all ideas comes next. Everything is dark, dark. Here we stand, not knowing. Takes courage, just dark, dark. And dark in this case is another way of saying empty. Everything empty, empty. Can you sense the rich state of not supposing and no expectations here, an exhilarating state of trepidation and trust? Awake, alive. Just here, just this. Rumi's lion roars in Yunman's next words. Now, what is your light? Now, not just any time. What do you think your light might be in this moment? Now, your original nature, your original face, who you truly are. What is it? The unadorned thusness of just what is. Its ringing detail beyond better or worse, beyond praise, is the moment the thinking mind relaxes. Yunman's dark, insistently points the way to realize our one vast, shared, solitary light. So there you go. Dark. What is it? Who are we? What's going to happen next? I don't know. What is the one solitary light that burns in each one of us? That is our koan, our vow, our practice to embody. Suzuki Roshi says, treat every moment as your last. It is not preparation for something else. You never know when you're going to put your hand on the rump of a lion. The world will give us whatever it chooses. Everything is Buddha's body. We need to feel what needs to be felt. Birth, death, grieving, loving, the preciousness of life. Vulnerable, ever-changing, unknown, uncertain, impermanence, ephemeral, groundlessness, letting go of self, concepts, ideas, letting go and letting go and letting go. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy. Koan, which you've heard before and which I love. I hope maybe you've come to love it a little bit too, that she brings forward. A monk asks about the fundamental teaching the Buddha conveyed over the course of a lifetime. Yunman's response was an appropriate response. What's the appropriate response in each moment that comes not out of fear or dread or aversion or clinging? It's just this moment. Alive, present. The dark of uncertainty and not knowing, and the one light that is luminous. Shining and asking to shine through each one of us. What if a lifetime of practice is all about cultivating an ever-deepening capacity to respond with wisdom and compassion to the full spectrum of human experience? So in the September newsletter, I put an interview that my good friend Lee Lesser recommended by Christina Figueres, I don't know how to say her name, but she's the former executive secretary of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and she led the process that secured the 2015 Paris Agreement. Maybe you've seen her on the news during that time, but she also is a practitioner with Joan Halifax, and Joan has featured her. And I looked at the long interview. I would encourage you to go back and look at it. And I did a little bit of picking and choosing because it seems really relevant, not just to the climate crisis, but to tonight and to these times. And I think it's really beautiful. So I'm gonna just, with your permission, share her view. Again, she led the process that secured the 2015 Paris Agreement. This is not somebody standing on the sidelines. This is somebody at the very heart of this. Talk about fear and dread. She knows everything, I would imagine, because she also keeps up. She knows everything that we probably, I would think, I'm not sure I want to know all these things. And this is her testimonial to how she stands in dark, and one light, be a lamp unto yourself. The way we have responded as human beings since we developed as human beings as a species, when in the face of threat, we either fight, freeze, or flight. That's our primal nervous system. I think it's so wonderful that when you sit zazen, that's what you sit down in the middle of. And then there's somebody in here saying, that needs to do. I need to distract myself. Anyway, we all know what that, I mean, I hope we all have some sense of what that nervous system sounds like. What we study in zazen. How do we do it better? Flight, or getting distracted, or going into burnout and freezing. Those who fight, we go out there and we start blaming people for things that are sometimes justified and sometimes not. Sounds like the world, huh? Enacted through each one of us. How do we get to the point where we can choose to act out of being grounded in our emotions? Doesn't mean going over them, under them, around them. It means understanding and embracing the pain. Not looking away, definitely embracing the pain, the suffering that comes to us every single day, and at the same time understanding that the pain and the fear and the grief is what she would call an alarm bell. It's going off to generate the clarity of what needs to be done. Oh, thank you for the alarm bell. It puts the two things side by side. Yes, I am in deep pain. Yes, I am in fear. Yes, I am in aversion. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And precisely because of that, I am committed to do everything within my sphere of influence. To keep asking forever, what is the appropriate response? Any experience, this is so Buddhist, you'll see it's part of why I love this. Any experience, any interaction, anything can be mundane and anything can be spiritual. The very same interaction, the very same experience can be either mundane or spiritual, and I would say simultaneous. The only difference between the two is how we live it. What quality of presence do we bring to it? And what is true about our experiences? How do we be right in the center of completely what's mundane, whatever we want to put out there? Politics, you can name it. Our mindset about our narratives and our action is what's important. To understand the mindsets lead to narratives, lead to action, and above all, that every single action of ours carries our signature of karma and our signature as a Buddha. whichever way I interact with my neighbor, with my daughters, with the persons where I go and buy my vegetables. That conversation, the way I walk into the place where I go and buy my vegetables, if I just walk in and go, okay, I have to buy 2 tomatoes, 1 onion, and 3 avocados. That's one way of walking in. The other way of walking in is to pause, take a breath, and go, wow. This little shop is run by 4 sisters who inherited this little shop from their father, and their father had this immense, beautiful ambition that the 4 of them would do this together. And every single tomato, every single onion is here as an expression of their love for their father and their collaboration between the 4 siblings. The whole world is there in each tomato and each onion and everything you touch and everything we do. And then it's a completely different experience of how we're living. It's called presence. And it becomes transformative for us and for other people. An important focus of our energy and our imagination and our creativity and our work. What stories are we telling ourselves now? What stories are we telling ourselves about this or that? What stories are we going to tell ourselves, or are we going to let others tell us about what happened in the presidential debates? Let's all keep taking a breath, because she's going to say something about that. Changing the story can matter. The need for a shift in people's consciousness. Once we wake up to the fact that it is our thought, each one of our thoughts, that determines our word, and our word determines our actions, or the other way of thinking about it is our mindset. And when you think about it collectively, what is the predominant mindset right now? Talking about the climate crisis, what I would say right now. We are so doomed. This is, I mean, I don't know what your mindset is. I've got 100 stories going on in here, and not all of them are pretty, and I'll bet you all have some too. There's no way we're going to get out of this mess. We are way too late. We have to change our mindset to a mindset of hope. A mindset of conviction that we have everything we need to make a difference. We have everything we need to make a difference. We have everything we need to bring peace and justice and equality and hope. And in this case, so many technologies are on exponential growth curves. Those of us who work on climate know that 2030 is a very important deadline, that we are in a decisive decade. And so whether we're able to have emissions from where we are right now to the end of the decade really determines the quality of life on this planet for generations to come. The way we meet the 2030 deadline, or any deadline, is just as important as the meeting itself. Whatever we think and say becomes the reality that we create out there. Whatever we think and say becomes the reality that we create out there. What we think, what we feel, what we say is in constant interaction with what we are creating out there. This is not some woo-woo idea. This is scientific if you want it to be scientific. It's affirmed in our zazen and in our living. You can practice it. What do you say to yourself when you get up in the morning? What do you say to yourself when something comes towards you that you feel fear or aversion about? What do we say when somebody tells us something that we think we want to hear, but it doesn't fit quite right? Remember Katagary's, it doesn't fit my heart neatly this way or that way? Starts with a mindset shift. I would say it starts forever, over and over again with take the backward step. Right here. There is, this is some Buddhist, endless abundance. We are so programmed to think in scarcity terms and in competition. The environment, everything is constantly changing. Because we have impermanence. And species are constantly adapting, and those that are constantly adapting to those circumstances are more fit to those changing circumstances and have higher resilience. We are on an incredible exponential curve to increase our renewables that we can get by 2030. We can triple energy capacity. Be thankful to the oil and gas industry. Be thankful for the problems that have powered at least half of the world and gave creature comforts to half of the world in the past century. Be thankful for that. Don't make these bad people over there cut off, or we're going to miss the whole world. But we can say, dear oil and gas industry, you are now facing your expiration date because we no longer need you. Old ways of thinking, old political views somehow got us here. Thank you very much. I don't think we need you anymore. The other phrase in terms of mindset is we're now living in is, she calls it radical regeneration. Let's regenerate ourselves. Let's regenerate ourselves with the backward step. Let's regenerate ourselves with coming to Sangha. Let's regenerate ourselves in the whole world with vow taking. We become more resilient at an individual level and in the nature of the whole world. Claim joy. Insist on knowing what you love and on being attentive to beauty wherever you can find it. Intentionally create a mind of love and joy. Avoid immediate blame and shame, and do not give up on people. And here's one more. Let go of the old world because that old world is gone anyway. Everything is in constant change. Develop the muscular capacity to understand that we are in constant sway, in constant uncertainty, and have the humility to truly, deeply, deeply know. You may have your hand on the ox, and you may simultaneously have your hand on the light. But in this dark, dark of don't know, there is a wake. And it's each of our responsibility. How do I want to turn up in the world? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to turn? How do I want to turn up in the world? What do I bring to bear is a question 24 hours a day. And we do it together. It's about watering a seed that is already in our fertile ground and watering it to the extent that it can carry over longer periods of time and geography so that we can feel the responsibility towards future generations. And we can feel responsibility towards people in other corners of the world. So I was thinking. Let go of the old world. Let go of the old world. Let go of the old world. Which means let go of what you thought the last minute was. Let go of who you thought you were or are, or what we thought was happening just a minute ago. I was thinking that because I was realizing there are parts of me that are comparing myself to who I thought I was before, and then sometimes it comes up like, wow, that's really cool, and sometimes it's like, that's not who I thought I was. Like physically aging, so I'm curious, what's the old, and then I was thinking about the political slogans of, I know the one for Kamala is we can't go back. But there's one for Trump that's also about getting America back or something. I mean, the whole, I mean, it's very much where we are here is let's go back to where we were, but no, we can't go back to where we were, but it's like, what if we let go of moment after moment? Let go of the old world. Where are we now? So let's take a few minutes. And and each in one of you, what's an old world you're hanging on to? I mean, it could just be a small thing. It could just be what you ate for lunch or what are you hanging on to that is an old world that's already gone? My old world of being a mom.